Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning for any of our West Coast viewers, and welcome to today's webinar where we're talking about our new Fusable platform. I'm your host, Edward Pronley, and I will be getting us started before handing things over to Sydney. So, with that, let's take a look at our agenda for today. In just a moment, I'll review the details of the fun giveaway we are having, and then I will introduce our speaker for today, Sydney, and then hand it over to her, and she'll dive into the rest of our agenda. The plan for this webinar is to provide a high-level summary of our new Fusable platform, briefly explain how feedback from our EDA clients led to this product's development, and then give you a live demo of the features so you can see how this product will help you identify stronger leads and drive more business. Finally, if you look at your Zoom window, you will see a button for Q&A. We have some team members watching that chat today, so if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to drop them in there and we'll answer as many as we can after the live demo. It's always nice to start with something fun, so let's talk free Carhartt gear. Everyone who registered and joined us here today has been automatically entered into the giveaway we're having, so one of you is going to receive some free gear. And after the webinars on after the webinar from December 4th and after today's webinar on December 9th, once they're over, we'll throw everyone's name into a hat and draw out a winner. We'll let you know via email who won, and from there, we'll send out your new Carhartt gear. So, with that, let's get into today's content. I'm joined today by Sydney Spears, our Director of Product Management at Fusable, who led the development of the new Fusable platform. Over the past year, Sydney has worked closely with many of our EDA clients to understand what you value most in a prospecting tool and what improvements would make your day-to-day work faster and more effective. You'll hear shortly how she and her team translated your feedback into a modern prospecting platform with meaningful enhancements that directly reflect what you asked for. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sydney to walk through what the Fusable platform is and lead us through the rest of today's session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Edward. Hello, everyone. As he mentioned, my name is Sydney Spears. I am a director of product management here and your resident expert on everything Fusable platform. Now, I do believe in getting straight to the point. And so I want to start with the question that I know everybody has, which is what actually is the Fusable platform? Well, the Fusable platform is our brand new web-based prospecting tool that we launched just a couple of weeks ago on November 10th. It gives you the ability to research companies, build targeted lead lists, analyze market data, all to help you quickly identify and prioritize the most qualified leads and start driving sales. So how do teams use the tool? Well, sales, marketing, and strategy teams all use the Fusable platform in a variety of ways to drive results. For our sales teams, the most common use case is finding high-value prospects quickly using the list building and filtering capabilities that surface the most qualified opportunities. Sales teams also use it to spot buying signals early, like identifying bulldozer buyers from the last 30 days or the last 30 months. That way they can time their outreaches more effectively. Marketing teams then rely on the platform to build campaign lists based on equipment ownership, brand loyalty, geography, fleet size, equipment condition, or year, or other firmographic or asset details. Then we have our rev ops and strategy teams, and they use the tool to improve territory planning or to spot regional trends or identify emerging hotspots and opportunities to maybe expand a product line. There are many other ways you can use the Fusable platform to drive efficiency and growth, but these represent the most common and highest impact workflows and use cases. So every single feature in the platform was designed using direct feedback from EDA customers like you. We focus heavily on eliminating friction, speeding up common tasks, and solving the real-world challenges and pain points that you've been sharing with us over the years. And the result is a solution that is faster, more flexible, and a true evolution of what you've come to expect from both EDA and Fusable. Now, a huge part of the platform evolution comes from the foundation that it sits on. So the Fusable Platform is built on our new data core, which is a centralized database and insights engine that powers all of Fusable's, upcoming products and innovations. The data core contains an enhanced version of EDA's prospecting data, expanded with fusible ID numbers, improved taxonomies, and better record deduplication so you spend less time cleaning the data and more time actually using it. The flexibility of the data core allows us to easily add new data sets in the future, which gives us then the ability to quickly add new services or new features to the Fusable platform for you. And just like EDA, the Fusable platform covers 9 industries, including agriculture and construction. Now, getting started with the platform is incredibly simple. There are no integrations required. You just sign up, log in, build a lead list, and you're ready to get going. You can start driving sales immediately. There is one clarification, though, I do want to point out for current customers specifically. For EDA clients today, you would need to require, it does require a new license. It's not an automatic upgrade from EDA. So connect with our sales team afterwards if you'd like to explore adding access to the platform, and we'll help you out. Now, I want to answer another big question that we get, which is why did we build it in the first place? And the background of how this product came to be is important because it is truly an origin story and rip of just listening to you, our EDA customers. And here's what we were hearing, very loud and very clear. First and foremost, the EDA experience, while the data was great, and it was what we were hearing, in every conference and conversation, the data is awesome, but that experience felt outdated and complex. And the complexity of the experience was then causing common tasks and workflows, like building a prospect list or sharing it. Those were taking a really, really long time. And then thinking about, training new employees or, new folks using EDA, getting those new folks to become and feel proficient and confident using EDA was taking a really, really long time. So on a positive note, I do just want to call this out. On a really positive note, some of our early platform users are telling us already that the simplified experience is something that their teams are finding to be much easier to use. And they're already spending a lot less time training their teams, which is really exciting. That's what we wanted. And then finally, one of the more common tasks that was also taking a little bit more time than we wanted was adjusting user settings or transferring license. So think about if you had an admin license, you're like, this person maybe is doing something different, and I want to give this license to someone else. In the past, in EDA, that takes a ticket. You have to submit a ticket, and it might take a couple of days, which can sometimes stall momentum. That is not the case anymore. Now it is just a couple button clicks, and the roles and the licenses are switched right then and right there. So what I really want to emphasize here is that the team that built the Fusable platform did not design it in a vacuum. We used and listened to all of your real world workflows, your frustrations, and your wish lists were the blueprint from day one. And when I get to the demo in a few minutes, I do hope that you can see, where and how your feedback directly influenced the improvements that we made. And that, what you're seeing over there in platform is just a lot of the things that you wished EDA could do. And they're already built over there in the platform. So before I jump into the demo, there's one thing I want to highlight. The launch of the Fusable platform is incredibly exciting on its own, but it's actually a part of a trio of new products that we released just a couple of weeks ago. Powered by the same data core that I just talked about, all 3 products share the same integrated foundation and deliver consistent, industry-leading prospecting data. The Fusable Salesforce app and the Fusable API allow you to embed that same prospecting data directly into your CRM, your BI dashboards, your custom applications, your lead evaluation tools, really any system where you want your prospecting data to work for you. If that kind of capability sounds interesting to you, you can join us for another webinar on either January 8th or January 13th. In that series, we'll explain how the Fusable API and Salesforce app work and how you can use them to integrate our prospecting data into your workflows. And the reason I mention these two other products is because I think it is a really great example of how the evolution here is happening at Fusable. We're not just focused on building an intuitive, awesome, easy to use web-based tool like the Fusable platform, but we're also creating ways to deliver the right data at the right moment wherever you're already working, so you always have the insights you need to make confident, informed decisions. So with that kind of quick future webinar and product plug out of the way, let's go ahead and jump back to the platform and walk through the features that are included in the initial release. So in a minute, I'm going to show 4 main features: the company search, targeted list building, prospect list analytics, and our comprehensive prospect profiles. So I'm going to switch my screens over and we're going to take a look at the system. Just here. Right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. The image can. Okay, let's get started. So when you first come into Fusable, super easy to sign in. You just, there you go. Now, when you first sign in, you're going to land in your Fusable workspace. And I'm going to start kind of on this top right-hand corner and move over to the side. So right over here, you've got, your standard, your profile settings. Right here, if that little icon, looks familiar, it's because this same icon that takes you to the Help Center in EDA today. And luckily here in the platform, it does the same thing. It'll take you to our new Help Center, which is chock full of all kinds of, detailed articles about features, our, packages like glossary, our equipment taxonomy, all kinds of good stuff in there. Moving on over, you now have the ability to choose if you want to stay in light mode, if you like dark mode. For today, I think we're going to stay on light mode. But as you can see by the color of my office, I do enjoy the green. It's very Christmassy too. And then if you keep coming it over, another thing that we've recently added is the ability for you to choose the language that you feel most comfortable speaking on a daily basis. And we were actually very excited to add that one. We have a couple of folks who have, team members who primarily, speak Spanish, and they can feel comfortable in the tool, which is really cool. And then continuing to move over, you may have already noticed, but the search is actually now a global search bar. It is no longer, hidden on a single page. And in addition, let me go ahead and just give a little example. What it also does is as you start to type things out, it starts to offer, what it thinks that you're typing, which is a little different than what's in EDA today. So we want to go to Earnhardt grading. This was in my mind earlier. And here you go, you're on the prospect profile. And I did just want to show, just really quickly, again, just a quick comparison. So over here in EDA, again, to run a search, you do have to make sure that you are on the search page. And then we'll enter in the same, I think we just got to the GRA, Earnhardt Gray, and hit submit. Now, unfortunately, we don't get any results over here. And the reason why is because you actually have to remove the grading, hit submit, and it'll be down here. because it did have to be abbreviated, which I'm sure that some of you may have, dealt with some of these, restrictions before. We do have in EDA a certain character limit that we have to abide by. And so you can still find Earnhardt grading for sure in EDA, but we wanted to make it just a smidge easier over here in the platform to find the same company. So we're here now on the prospect profile. I'll kind of just a quick overview here. So right here, you have your overview. You have the website here. Over here, you got their location. And let's say, you're out and about on the town and you want to get a good understanding of where this company is. Now you can actually hit view on map and it'll drop you right into Google Maps. And then from there, you can plug in the directions of where you're at. So it was a fun ad. And then here's your company organizational structure, which would show you if Earnhardt Grading had a parent company. It does not, so it doesn't show up right there. Down here, you've got all of your equipment by your total finance equipment in the last 60 months. Your top models, they're very Caterpillar. And then you still have, just like in EDA, your equipment table where you can look through all of the equipment that they have. You can sort through it. Everything is there for you. Now, on this profile, let's say you are something that you really want to follow up on. You're like, this is a good one. I like this one. And keep an eye on it. What you can do now is actually hit this little star button. And what happens is it gets saved over here to my favorites. And so now you have all of your favorites. So the prospects that you feel they have a pretty good chance of converting and you just want to pay attention, they are all here. So easily accessible, and it tells you where you found it in case you do have a lot of lists that you look at on a daily basis. You can tell that we found Earnhardt Grading from search. And so that is the My Favorites feature. We're going to keep moving up. So if you have a lot of lists, all of your lists are right here. And now if you want to duplicate a list, delete or rename a list, you are able to do that directly from your list view. And again, sometimes these little buttons don't feel really huge, but the duplicate list is actually something that we had heard several times as a feature that was wanted by customers who typically are in the role of building lists and sharing them with their team. We had heard that, gosh, it can take a while to build a list in EDA, and all my parameters, all this are the same except for maybe a zip code. If I could just duplicate it, that would be so much easier, and I could get folks up and running so much faster. Now you can. And so let's see, you've had your list, you've looked up a couple of single prospects, and now you're really ready to get to business and build some lists. So hence this is our list builder feature. So the first thing you see here is you've got 3 different templates to choose from. And again, these templates were an idea, honestly, when I first started just a couple of years ago, but for the EDA product, I was hearing, hey, it would be awesome and I could scale up so much faster if we just had a template. If you guys know the filters that I need to be, using to answer questions like which prospects are likely to purchase outside of a brand, or I want to find prospects, with equipment that's approaching a certain age and might need a replacement or some service. You guys know those things, just tell us and we'll fill them out. Or if you're like, I don't even know where to start, that feels like there's a lot of filters, well, then right here is the list of most common filters used across the board, just to kind of build a basic list to get you started. And you can continue to refine it, as you go along. Or if you're like, no, I know what I want to build for sure. I got it. Then you can come here and build it from scratch. So I'm actually in Kansas City. Oh, the Chiefs. So we'll build our own lists. Let's do new type. We'll do excavators. They're fun. Let's do 2021. Any new ones? Yeah. Let's go see what's cooking. And there's our list. We did it. So I do really quick want to jump over to EDA again, just really quickly. So when, a couple times when I was sitting with some customers, I was fortunate enough to watch, a few of them get to use EDA for the first time. And we would sit there, we maybe a couple minutes before someone realized, okay, in order for me to build a new prospect list, you go here, typically they would go here and be like, all right, that makes sense. You're taken to the search experience, which can be a little bit confusing because when you're creating a search, you don't necessarily think that that's a prospect list. So, again, the functionality is there in EDA. We just wanted to make it a little bit more intuitive and something that's a little bit faster. And I don't know if anyone was timing me on building this list, but it took us, under 2 minutes. The average time right now in EDA for a new customer to build a list is about 13 minutes. So we wanted to cut that time down significantly. So really quickly, I'll kind of do the same thing, start from the left top corner over here. So you have the option to rename or make a copy again. If you want to share the list with somebody, it is now as easy as clicking on the link and you can now share it with your team. And then you have your filters right here, which will show you the active filters that are applied to get all the totals in your summary. And then over here is our new analytics tab, our prospect list analytics. And the first thing you get to is a new map view. And here in your map view, you now have the ability to segment your map, either by zip code or by county, if you prefer county, whatever makes the most sense. It also has a heat map capability to where you can see the concentration of either buyers or units in your area. Let's zoom in. There we go. We did, yeah, there's not a lot there. We did just update the legend, so it's now dynamic. So that's actually coming out this week. But wanted to come back to the location real quick. One of the other things we were able to do is add the satellite view. So let's say you're out and about. You're like, I just want to get a good idea of what this area looks like. You can now drag them over here. Ooh, Google Maps doesn't like that one. So look up here. And there we go. Now you can kind of take a look at where you're going and get a little bit more familiar before you head out. Just wanted to show that capability. And then underneath your maps, what we also now have are your top brands of the list, the top models of everyone on your list. And then what you can also do now is if you're, kind of curious about the market about a particular, competitor, you can actually drill down into that little piece of pie and get a good idea of what is or maybe isn't in that particular market. And then you can save it as a new list. So all of these features, this list builder, list, my favorites, this whole prospecting tool, all of those features were included in our initial launch just a couple weeks ago. And then of course you have, your admin settings. These come standard for everyone, where you have your organizational details, your billing page, which this page is still in the process of being built. But if you had any questions or you needed any information about updates or what's happening, please feel free to reach out to your customer support representative and they're happy to help you. And then just really quickly wanted to show, the user management space like we were talking about earlier. If you wanted to update a role, It's just a matter of a couple clicks. So that is the quick demo of the Fusable platform. And with that, let me go ahead and hop back over to our deck. Right. Should be able to see my screen. Okay. So in the live demo that I just showed you, I only covered some of the more prominent differences between the platform and EDA. So if you're interested, if you're a person who wants to get into the details, I totally understand that. I do. We do have a helpful 2-page document that compares EDA to the Fusable platform feature by feature. Just let your sales rep know you want to see the product comparison guide, and they're happy to share it. I also believe we're going to be sharing that link here in just a second so that you can see it as well. And then finally, the last question that I get pretty frequently is, this is awesome. We're excited. Love it. What's next? So in the first part of 2026, what's next in the platform is we are anticipating having the functionality that allows you to see and create updates and notifications so that you are always aware of the key activities, like what equipment is being bought, sold, or leased in your zip code. We want to make sure that you're seeing those, every time you come back to your list, what's different. And then around the same time, we'll have the lender profile data included. So think of things like the secured party information so that you know who your prospects are lending from. And then later in 2026, we expect to have the export functionality, and that's going to allow you to pull lead lists straight out of the Fusable platform. And we have a lot more planned after that point, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So I will just leave all of these features here as a teaser for now. And that is all the content that I had for today. I'm going to go ahead and hand the presentation back over to you, Ed, to close this out.
Sydney, thank you so much for taking the time to go over our new Fusible platform today. Before we move into Q&A, I want to quickly share where you can find more information about the Fusible platform. If you'd like to set up time with one of our account executives, or if you just want to explore the details on your own, you can visit our Fusible platform product page or our product update article on fusible.com. Now, each of these resources has great information as well as a short request demo form you can fill out, and you can get a more personal look at the Fusible platform with a demo. For those of you who already have a Fusible account representative, you can also just reach out to them and they will get you the information that you need. Now, for the Q&A, we have some time allocated to answer a few questions that have been submitted. As I mentioned, we had some Fusible teammates in the background today reading all of those questions that you sent in and consolidating them into the most popular topics. So, Sydney, does the Fusible platform have all the same data as EDA?
So it will have all the same data points and more. So remember earlier, I was talking about that the new data core and the significance of it. Well, it will have the same data, but also that unique Fusable ID, the unique Fusable parent ID, the updated taxonomies, and will have the ability to combine other data sets with other Fusable products like Iron or Equipment Watch so much easier in the future. And then just really quickly, the importance of that Fusable ID and kind of thinking about the deduplication and all the work that team is doing. We have a team of data stewards here who are experts in the industry, and they look at thousands of rows of data a day. And when we say we have the ability to combine data sets, that Fusable ID represents, we were looking at Earnhardt grading in the platform. So let's say Earnhardt Grading was a company that existed in RigDig, Equipment Watch, and EDA. That team is looking at that data and they're making sure that there's only one Earnhardt Grading and it's got one Fusable ID. And so all the pieces of information that are going to be attached to it, there's only one. It's a master record. And so that's what we mean by cleaning up all the data and new taxonomies. It is truly amazing what that team does. So yes,
What about Fusable platform features? Does it have all the same ones that you will find in EDA as well?
also a good question. So it will have all of the same features that were used most by EDA customers, and will have that level of parity by the end of 2026. That doesn't, I do want to be super clear, that doesn't mean that every single feature is going to come over because some things just weren't used as much. But all of the big important things, the things that we know you guys are using, every day, all of that will absolutely be there. Think export notifications, CFs, all that good stuff.
What if I, as a Fusible customer, sign up for the Fusible platform? Do I then lose my EDA account?
That's another really good question. And until we reach, parity with a lot of those super important features, EDA is going to be available and you will have access to it. Now, what we hope happens is that, once those things do become available, we'll see more folks actually using the platform over time because we truly believe it is a better experience for you. But no, you won't lose access to EDA immediately.
How can users sign up for the Fusible platform?
So I think in just a second, you, Edward, are going to show a really lovely QR code that everyone can actually use to request a demo. But if you forget to look at the QR code, or that doesn't have to, the way that I know how you can get there is you go to fusable.com, you see the solutions at the top, and you just pick platform. That is how you can sign up.
Perfect. And lastly, how much does the Fusible platform cost?
That is another super common question and a good one. So we did recently revamp the way that we do pricing here. What we learned with EDA is that, the one size fits all approach, so, you get all the data and all the features, didn't actually fit everybody. So that one size fits all actually didn't fit. Because there is such a thing as too much data or not enough data. So what we did is we first created 3 packages, and each one of those packages, represents a different set of features and capabilities. And then once you choose your package, you can then choose, the breadth and depth of the data that's available in that package. And you choose that based on, your business needs and your business use cases. And then from there, we'll measure the usage of it. So specifically the number of Fusable IDs that are downloaded or enriched over time. We will help you figure out all of those things. Just give us a call. We have our expert sales team here. And what that means also is that the cost will be different for every customer and every person because we're trying to make sure that the price matches, the value and matches exactly what you guys need. So that's the cost and the structure of it.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. We are just a couple minutes over today, but if you have a moment, you're going to see a poll pop up here. If you have just a minute to fill that out and let us know what you think about today's webinar, and there is also that QR code on the screen if you want to learn even more about the Fusible platform and potentially sign up for a demo yourself. We will use the insights from our poll here to improve the future webinars we have on the calendar. And all of us here at Fusable, thank you for spending some time with us today and learning about the new Fusable platform. If you have any additional questions or you want to learn more, you can visit fusable.com/Fusable platform to find out how we can help you identify more high quality leads and drive more business. Thank you so much again for joining us today.